Hello everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance, where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. So here we go, the first week of the 2023 Billboard year, and man, is it certainly a week that exists, I guess. I mean, it's not a bad one. We got the aftermath of Drake's album finally going away, 7 debuts, even a few returns, but said debuts don't feel particularly exciting even if the quality is there. There's just not really much of note that you can say about them in any other context. But we'll get to that later. For now, our top 10, where I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and BB Rexa at number 1 has a commanding presence on radio with strong enough streaming to lead. Unfortunately, we are counting this out to be the biggest hit of 2023. That's not a good sign, guys. Unfortunately, as I keep saying, there's quite frankly nothing to challenge it right now. As Hold Me Closer by Elton John and Britney Spears is continuing to go nowhere on radio at number 2, and Cold Heart P&A remix by Elton John and Dua Lipa is long past the point of doing anything at number 3. Thank God Miss You by Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz seems to have momentarily stalled out at number 4, where the streaming is really the only thing that's keeping this going as radio continues to mostly ignore it. Good. Not as badly though as with Bizarred Up Music Sessions Volume 52 by Bizarred Up and Quevedo at number 5, which is starting to slow down on streaming with radio still not fully on board. It could be on its way out soon. Same deal with both Break My Soul by Beyonce at number 6 and Numb by Marshmello and Khalid at number 7, where both are just not sticking around that strong in any category outside of streaming. They're both in serious danger. What's interesting actually comes in a new debut at number 8, and one that doesn't really surprise me at all, 1035 by Tiesto featuring Tate McRae. Now I could highlight that this is the second year in a row that Tiesto got a top 10 debut on the first tracking week with a rising female pop singer, but really with this song's radio support and solid streaming, I can see this sticking around. Maybe we'll end up like the motto from last year? We'll have to see. This pushed down Remember by Becky Hill and David Guetta to number 9, but with the streaming on board in a big way, I can see this going back up with time. Something I don't expect will happen with Murder on My Mind by Hell at number 10, which is making a slow exit as streaming seems to be on its way out. But on the topic of things on their way out, yeah, our fall-offs list was huge this week, mainly thanks to Drake's album finally exiting after 20 weeks. This meant that Falling Back, Text Go Green, A Keeper, Currents, Calling My Name, and Flights Booked all exited, alongside some smaller and expected fall-offs that we all saw coming. What's interesting is that even with all those fall-offs, we still saw a fair chunk of falls too, mostly in songs that are really underperforming and likely to be gone soon. I mean, yes, we sadly saw Fred Again lose considerably, with Clara the Night is Dark down to 46, Blur Better With Time at 43, and Delilah Pull Me Out of This down to 32. But Worst Day by Millennium and Max continues to thankfully fall hard to 38, and VRJ by Farruko sadly looks like it's going to underperform at 36. Hell, Farruko had a rough week as Nazareno fell to 24. It could be gone next week. Really surprising given how stable it's been for most of its run. The one song I want to highlight though is Forever by Gryffin and Ellie Duhay down to 28. Mostly because you think it would have more consistent momentum coming off the album boost, but nope, it looks like this is going to absolutely free fall next week. Kind of fine by me that I'm not huge on the song at all. But of course, given the huge list of fall-offs, we saw a few comebacks and some jumps to fill in the gaps. Although not as many as I expected. I mean, I don't really have much expectations in our comebacks of Jungle by Fred Again at 49 and All By Myself by Alok, Segala and Ellie Goulding at 48, even if I'm a big fan of both songs and I'm happy to see them back. But flip over to our jumps and we saw Woke Up In Love by Kygo, Gryffin and Callum Scott at 18. Expect another modest jump with Kygo's album boost next week. Just lovely. As well as Miracle Maker by Dom Dolla and Clementine Douglas are big to 35. I can only hope this survives into 2023 and somehow makes the year-end list. We'll have to see. But on to our 7 debuts this week, starting off with number 50, Show Me by John Summer featuring Hannah Boleyn. Can I say I'm worried about John Summer right now? I mean, that's with the acknowledgement that all the dudes charting songs after Deep End are really damn good songs. Human might actually be my top 10 hits of 2022, which really surprised me, but his recent output just really hasn't had the same spark to it that his best singles have had. This is definitely the case with What a Life, a song that barely did anything on the dance airplay charts for good reason, and unfortunately it's also the case with this. Now it's not bad, Hannah Boleyn has some really nice presence throughout the song, even if the vocal production is weirdly distorted at points, and I'll give it that the chill house production has some really nice atmosphere to it across the verses, and especially those build-ups. But I honestly wish that those drops did weigh more for me than they did. They feel a bit too reserved, not really complementing such great build-ups with real energy or a proper payoff. They're very pleasant, but nothing I'd really seek out or pay much attention to. So yeah, there's elements of this I quite like, but compared to what I know John Summit is capable of, this is a little bit disappointing. It's solid, but it could have been great. That's all I'm saying. Number 44, Force by Alan Walker. Honestly expecting this to happen sooner. So for context, this isn't actually a new Alan Walker song at all. In fact, it's part of an EP called Origins that was released in early July this year, featuring alongside such obscure tracks as Fade and Spectre. Seriously, this EP basically re-released some of Alan Walker's most iconic instrumentals from before Faded got big, with this presumably getting enough recurrent traffic that it played into Billboard's tweaking of the recurrent rules for older songs. Also NFT integration, but we don't talk about that. Thank God that's the case though, because out of the 3 instrumentals on the EP, this is probably my favourites. The melody is just so strikingly gorgeous and instantly recognisable, especially with how it bounces off those twinkling backing tones that sound great. And the drops have a level of punch and emotional strength that you rarely hear in Alan Walker's music nowadays. Honestly, between this and the first Walkerverse EP, it's clear that Alan Walker has real taste in what he wants to release this year. There's potential to become better that he has a chance to achieve. I mean, it's a shame it took this so long to chart, but it's a damn solid song. I'm really glad it got a revival. Check it out if you haven't. Number 42, Nightbird by DJ Snake. So one area of DJ Snake that I've seen charting on a fair few occasions is that of his house side. Most of the time it comes in collabs with other producers like Malar, but on this track he's the sole name credited, and honestly I found this quite fun. Yes, that whistly lead is very much not good, especially with how it's mixed where it's not loud enough to be abrasive but not quite enough to ignore, but the beat behind it has some real punch, especially in the bass line that remains consistently hard hitting. And those pitch shifted vocals have enough genuine menace to really hit even if they're saying absolute nonsense. It's not really a song I have a whole lot to say about. It's tight 2.5 minutes and doesn't offer much that distinguishes it from a lot of other tech house songs, including those that DJ Snake has done before, but it's mostly solid. Good stuff, check this out. Number 39, You Can't Change Me by David Guetta and MORTEN featuring RAYE. I really don't know how to feel about these David Guetta and MORTEN collabs. I mean, for sure there's some absolute winners in there like Alive Again and Save My Life, but otherwise they feel really plain, especially for this brand of future techno that they're taking ideas from. That being said, if there's a collab between these two that works especially well for me, it's Make It to Heaven featuring RAYE. The atmosphere is potent, RAYE sounds great, and the drops have some really nice crisp atmosphere to them. It's a genuinely great song. Fast forward to now and these two decide, hey, let's try it again and see if it works this time. Bring on RAYE yet again for this song from their new Level 2 EP, and yeah, this just isn't good at all. And I hate to say it, part of the problem is RAYE. She's covered in so much auto-tunes and mixed so far back that she barely feels like a presence on the song. And when she is emphasized, her vocals just sound off. She's really not at her best here. I mean, I don't mind the production around her on the verses where she's given a decent melody to work off, but the build-ups are super messy with the layers of noise that don't complement each other very well at all, and that lead melody that dominates the otherwise fine drops gets really repetitive and really drags down the experience. I mean, it's far from the worst collab both David Guetta and MORTEN have made together, but the lack of interesting elements and RAYE's generally poor performance just make this a total dud for me. So yeah, another snooze fest from David Guetta. Can we just move on, please? Number 33, Never Let You Go by Jason Derulo and Shouse. Forget you, no I won't forget you. Okay, this caught me off guard. regard. I mean, I know Jason Derulo isn't shy with his love for dance music. Some of us still remember that god-awful song Konyo from a year ago. But what the hell was he doing working with Shouse, a name who many thought would be a one-hit wonder thanks to Love Tonight's huge revival in 2021? Well, okay, let's just take a step back. The credit from Shouse is more because Jason Derulo quite literally sampled their follow-up single Won't Forget You, specifically the hook and final titular line for a brooding heartbreak song that sounds like something straight out of the mid-2010s. Now, I will say, the way Won't Forget You's hook is interpolated here is really solid. It fits with the lyrics where Derulo is trying to untangle a messy breakup and acknowledgement that he won't forget the time they spent together. But man, this production is a total mess. I mean, I get that Piano House is getting a revival in the mainstream, but the whooshing synths and piano don't sound good at all next to Derulo's voice. And that lead on the cheap sounding drops is really not good. Literally tone the lead down a few semitones and this would have been much better. I don't know why you didn't do it. I mean, by the standards of modern Jason Derulo, you could certainly get worse. This is a fine remix, but it's not remotely interesting either, and not great. I don't see myself coming back to this. Let's just move on. Next. Number 20, Lose Your Love by Gryffin and Maeson. Oh yeah, Griffin's album did something. I'll be honest, when I first saw this collab, I was dreading it. I mean, Maeson was good on Heavenly Side with Millennium, but his recent batch of singles have not been remotely good at all, and I'm not sure that working with Gryffin would have made his run any better. Surprisingly though, I actually found this really damn good, maybe even great. I mean, part of it is just how much the production really surprised me. Going for a faster synthwave kind of sound with some really crisp percussion and a consistently energetic vibe where the faster tempo creates some really propulsive drop that sound gorgeous, as Maeson flows over the song really well. I was also shocked at how good he sounded here. This is one of his more emotive and cleaner performances, and you can really tell he's got the power and range to work well on dance beats. Why he hasn't done this before in his solo stuff just baffles me. He's really good at it. So yeah, it might not be the most mind-blowing thing ever, but Gryffin and Maeson really delivered here. This is a really damn good song. I'll take it. And finally, number 8, 1035 by Tiesto featuring Tate McRae. So okay, I surprisingly actually had some expectations for this. I mean, yes, Tiesto's last top 10 hit in Hot and it was pretty damn awful, but working with Tate McRae, who really delivered on You with Troye Sivan and Regard, plus the fact this was getting a pretty positive reception by even non-Tiesto fans, I had hopes, and honestly this might be the best top 10 hit he's had since The Business. I mean, for starters, the production is excellent here. Tiesto really punched up the attention to atmosphere, creating a really nice nocturnal vibe on the verses that reminds me a lot of Regard's recent material, Speak of the Devil, before building into some really smooth drops that feature one killer as hell bassline and some really nice splashes of melody. It's a song that really uses the space to really control itself, a great showcase of minimalism working wonders in a dance song. The real star here though is surprisingly Tate McRae, who shows that once again she should really make a pivot towards more of this dance-oriented style. She's got the high breathy vocals, the flow, the balance in her vocal range. Put her alongside something from, say, Medusa or any number of deep house producers, she could really deliver, especially when the vibe is this nocturnal and the lyrics feel this fitting for a song of this kind. So yeah, this is great. Hell, if it becomes another Hot 100 contender, I'll be all for that. This is really damn promising moving forward for Tiesto. Great stuff, man. And yeah, to my surprise, 1035 by Tiesto featuring Tate McRae is getting the best of this week. Honourable runner-up? Yeah, it's tricky, but I'm gonna give it to Force by Alan Walker. Although Lose Your Love by Gryffin and Maeson was really close there. As for the worst, there's no question it's You Can't Change Me by David Guetta and MORTEN featuring RAYE, but this honourable runner-up honestly might have to go to Won't Let You Go by Jason Derulo and Shouse, which is still not saying much because that song is okay and wouldn't really be a lower tier song and any worse a week. Next week though, yeah, it's a mix of Cargo's album Impact alongside maybe 1 or 2 songs from the Black Eyed Peas. Stay tuned for that mess. But yeah, that's all for this episode of An Analysis of Dance. See you next time.